Back to La Vida Mora, Puerto Rico. Today is a different vibe. Today I'm interviewing the author of Homeless Mind, and I want to just take a very quick moment because I don't want to take away from the interview. I wanted to give a quick thank you to Vida Cafe for not only allowing us to sit there to have this interview, but for even adjusting the music for us just so that I wouldn't have issues with copyright. Thank you to people who just go above and beyond what they are expected to do or what they need to do for other people. Thank you to Teresa for trusting me with your presence, with, you know, putting out content on your behalf. Thank you to all the women who have shown support by already purchasing a book. This is especially for the ladies, and that's okay. We need to do that once in a while. We need to do that pretty often. Besitos, and thank you so much for watching. Welcome back to La Vida Mora, Puerto Rico. Today I have with me Teresa Lugo. She is the author of the book Homeless Mind. We are finally able to meet up and do a little interview. We're gonna talk, we're gonna have breakfast in my favorite all-in-one shop in Al lado de Boquerón, Vida Cafe, and we're just gonna talk and chat. So I hope you guys enjoy the vlog. Okay, so the first question that I have for Teresa today is something that I genuinely wanted to ask her because it was what kept running through my mind before I even read the book, and that is, why a book? In these times of social media, it has completely grabbed everyone's attention. Why choose the method of literature to tell a story?
Well, I did not choose to write this book. The book chose to write for me to write it. I honestly, the book came about in a time where I was going through a really nasty depression, and in that space, I was able to kind of follow what my spirit was going through and allow that to evolve in the way it needed to evolve, right? I mean, if I had to choose, I wouldn't want to go through that. I would rather just write a book, you know? But sometimes books come from experiences, and that's exactly what happened. So that's my story. I'm sticking by it.
Okay, this one is easy. Where were you born and where do you reside now?
I was born in Chicago. I am a true Chicagoan. Raised my children in Chicago, and once my children left the home, I thought there was a good opportunity for me to get away and finish the book. And now I'm here in Puerto Rico because this is my parents' homeland, and also they have a home here. And they're now both deceased, actually. The book starts off with the death of my dad and then ends with the death of my mom and everything that happened in between that. So I am now officially here in Puerto Rico, also because I started a nonprofit here, co-founded one called Land Heart Project, where we assist the farmers after Maria because they lost a lot of their crops.
Congrats to you, because we needed a lot of small miracles like that during that time, and we still need it.
Yeah.
It's not over. The struggle's not over.
Never will be.
This is years and years of trying to get Puerto Rico back back to a point where people can live comfortably, no matter what level of income they have, where they can just live comfortably. And what you are doing, what other people are doing, it doesn't always get enough attention. You know, a lot of people don't know about it.
Yeah.
A lot of people want to help, and they don't know where to go. They don't know who to trust. You know, they don't want to just blindly donate. They want to know that their money is going to something that is actually helping.
Absolutely, I do agree, and I respect that. The hardest part of that, though, is that people want you to take pictures, and they want you to. It's just really, it's gotten out of hand. Yeah. And I broke my ankle trying to do a video giving food and water.
Wow.
So I had surgery and everything over this. And before that happened, my spirit told me not to do it.
You see?
Seriously. Like, don't do it because you don't have to. It was more like one of my sisters was like, you really need to let people know where the money's going. You need to show something. And so that morning I decided, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and do that. But there was some loose gravel as I was coming down this hill. And girl, I did that James Brown split.
I was so excited.
And I heard it crack, and I'm like, okay, this is it.
You are onto something with that, because there are a few things, or I should say sometimes people indirectly say things like, oh, why don't Puerto Ricans do this? Or why don't they just try this for a change instead of complaining, right?
Yeah.
And people don't understand how many small struggles and fights and programs and just hard work is going out there, because it is not a huge part of our culture to just kind of vlog it and record it and take pictures. We just do it, right? Like after Hurricane Maria, everyone just did it.
Yeah.
Everyone just put on their pants and worked.
Yes.
Nobody waited for help.
Yes.
We just did it, right?
That's correct, yeah.
It's not. Yeah, it's beneficial to, promote it more, of course, because it's kind of like a need now. People just need to see things to believe it. But there's a lot going on. Teresa is a testament to that. There's a lot that goes on that people don't see.
I tell you this, I don't think that people ask Susan B. Komen people to show me your breasts, show me that you got, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's ridiculous. It's gotten out of hand. And if you don't trust, don't give.
Exactly. I've said the same thing. I can say
you know what I'm saying? And don't give until you trust, if that's your wish.
Yeah.
But to have to feel like you have to do this kind of stuff to make people feel good, or no, I can't, So now, when people say, I'm going to send you this, and can you take pictures? I say, no, I can't. However, if I could, I would, just to, because I do understand the other side of it, I think that's important that people to understand the other side of it. But at the end of the day, I'm not gonna.
No, you have to. Okay, so Teresa's looking into the Barboon Flaca combo. And what is that again?
The Barboon means bearded.
We're getting spicy for breakfast today. In a world where there's like a lot of noise now, there's a lot at our disposal, a lot for us to access. It's just so easy, right? We have everything now at our fingertips. How do you stay grounded? How do you remain spiritual? How do you stay focused? How do you just continue on that path and not steer too far away from pretty much where you come out? Where you actually got to this point of coming out with a book that was 4 years in the making, like you said. So how do you continue on that path? Like, what do you do? Is there a ritual? What's your method?
Well, first of all, for me, the method is to love myself and care for myself, and just really nurture myself, right? So in the mornings I wake up, I thank God. I do a gratitude check every morning. Thank God for my life. I send my angels out to make my crooked way straight and whatever it is that God has for me to do today. And I also talk to God. My father taught me to take the first 15 minutes of your morning and talk to God. Sit on the bed or lay down, or just say, Lord, thank you, I love you, thank you, forgive me for anything that I may have done to walk in the wrong way or say the wrong things. And then I try my best to walk in love. I've been hurt many times, doing the nonprofit work here. I had people, let me down, or containers didn't come in that I paid for, and found out that another organization stole it, and things that really make you want to go back to the old Chicago girl that want to fight and I want to choke someone, right? But just really releasing things as if they're supposed to happen that way. No matter how you might look at it, you have to look at things as if they are happening the way they're supposed to, and it may not be the way you want them to be. So I do a lot of that, as well as meditation. and meditate. I breathe in from my belly.
Which can be contradicting, right? For people who live in prayer, a lot of times it's prayer or meditation, and they can't see the connection between the two.
Yeah. Well, prayer is you talking to God. Meditation is God talking to you.
Yeah.
Your spirit speaks.
You're waiting for something to come to you.
Yeah, you just breathe. You start getting these downloads. You know, the book is about that, basically.
Okay, so Teresa is her culture or her parents from Puerto Rico. So this question just has to do more with our culture. So our culture is deeply rooted in old beliefs, traditions, mindsets, etc. So this goes on. Were you aware of that as a child? Was that something that you sort of, and maybe it made you feel restricted, or did you just think that that's how things were and became maybe a little bit more conscious of it in adulthood? And how did that mold you or stop you from being who you are now?
Well, I think that my parents raised us with all the Puerto Rican traditions. We had barrandas, we had just a wonderful life. I mean, really, my parents were very serious about us being raised properly.
And living in Chicago.
Yes. Oh,
yes, so which is the story for many of us.
For sure.
Even if we didn't grow up on the island.
No. We had all the same traditions, you know, and it was all about family, it was about food. And we would have Puerto Rican parade in Chicago. That's huge, okay? In Chicago, it's huge, and it was on Michigan Avenue. And so my mother made sure that we all had our T-shirts on and our banderas, and I used to watch this woman go crazy. Viva Puerto Rico! I'd be like, oh my God, my mom is just crazy. What's up with this lady? And so, honestly, I felt the pride of being Puerto Rican because of her, but more when I started to come to Puerto Rico and I put my feet on this ground.
It's like a rebirth, right?
It's like something clicks. Something clicks, like your boots are clicked on right, and now you feel like, oh my God, this is amazing. This is what my parents were passionate about. This is why they fought a good fight of faith in Chicago, because especially in the early 70s, there was a lot of racism.
Oh yeah.
The cops were abusive. There was
Open racism.
I talk about that in the book because I want our Puerto Rican community to know that nothing was given to us. We fought for everything, and we're still fighting. Especially on this island, we're still fighting. I mean, we don't want to be sold out.
Sometimes amongst ourselves.
You know,
each other.
yeah, and people when I talk about statehood, non-statehood, I say nothing. I'm not from here. I wasn't born and raised here, so I say nothing. I don't have an opinion one way or another. All I have is myself and my commitment to my parents to make Puerto Rico a better place for myself and my family, and in their memory, you know?
Yeah.
And that's what I feel. So, what is going to happen with the island is in God's hands. But what I say to my Puerto Ricans in New York, Chicago, wherever you're at, get here, buy property, invest in Puerto Rico. I tell you, this place is amazing. Mira, me da calofrío as I talk about it.
I have mentioned it as well.
It's not an option anymore. It's almost a necessity. It needs to happen. Even if you don't live here, even if you just have the land and you will work on it poco a poco in time, or even for your children or your grandbabies, invest. It is a much, it's not just what's coming out of your pocket, believe me. It's really needed now.
Yeah, I must speak to those that have homes here that your parents left you and you haven't even come here to check on. We have a lot of homes here that are falling into the ground. When the hurricane happened, they were like, oh my God, all these homes went down. Well, guess what? A lot of those homes are abandoned by you. The people that haven't come back here to look at their homes. You don't want it. Come and give it away to other Puerto Ricans that are struggling here. Don't let it go. Don't let it go to waste. If you can't sell it, give it away. Gift it to another Puerto Rican. Just a thought. I'm not, putting anything over anyone's head, but certainly I'm encouraging you to please help us make a difference here on the island.
Mention that because that brings us right into the next question, which is probably the most important. Why the title Homeless Mind?
Wow. Let me say this. In 2009, 2008, when the housing crashed, my businesses crashed. My father died. So I was in a really bad place. Something happened to me. When my father died, I felt his last breath, and I was 300 miles away.
Wow.
Okay?
Connection.
And I was meditating in that moment. I had never meditated in my life. But one of my friends that I was with, she asked that we do that. And of course, my Catholic upbringing was like, oh, she's going to take us into the voodoo, something.
Yeah, like a portal.
I'm scared, where's this going to go? But she was like, just breathe in light and breathe out darkness. Just breathe deeply. And so I was like, well, I can do that. So that's how that started. And in that process of breathing and all that, my dad was in the hospital. All of a sudden, I saw this huge bug just in my presence in the river, and he neighed like a horse. It was like a loud sound, and I almost jumped out of my skin. And I looked at him, and I really got in that moment that was my father's last breath. That was the message that came so audibly, like someone said it in my ear. And it was very deep, and I didn't know what to say. So that's really how Homeless Minds unraveled itself, because in the process of that happening, I started going into this spiraling downward depression because I didn't understand what happened. And from there, I just started to see a therapist because I needed help. I was falling deeper, and I didn't know what happened to me. The process, the therapist said, get a dog. So I talk about that in the book. I talk about all of this because I want people to understand that sometimes our mind needs our attention. Our mind can be with us one day and gone the next from all the pressure and the stress that we put on ourselves. But from there, as I was walking my dog one day, I heard those two words again in my mind, in my spirit. Homeless Mind. And Spirit said, that's the book you're going to write.
Because the two words are not usually associated.
I'm like,
it leaves you thinking, okay, what is this metaphor for?
Yeah, exactly. And it was in that moment that Spirit said, that's the book you're going to write. And you're going to begin it in Puerto Rico, and you're going to finish it in Puerto Rico. I'm like, what? And you're like, what is happening to me? In that moment, I was like, something's happening to me. And then, when you get the book, you can read my journey from that process onward, and the other challenges.
Yeah, don't get away too much on that.
I can talk all day
You
about
guys
the challenges.
need to get this book.
Because being Puerto Rican, you do, and I was a business owner, so I was dealing with racism also. I was the victim. What? Are you kidding me? Yeah, right. But that's what happens when you are, gifted by God to be a leader in a world where your audience is not the same color as you, and sometimes they're probably affected by that. But, it's just a beautiful story of what that really looked like for me. And that's where Homeless Mind comes from. And again, I was like, why?
And it's motivation and inspiration for others that may feel held back for the same reason.
And then 2020 was the year of Homeless Mind.
2020 is I say for everyone.
Right?
2020 vision.
Yeah.
Everyone.
Yes.
Everyone.
Yeah.
I really believe in that.
And you went from being in corporate America to having no job.
Yeah.
And having to stay home. So all of a sudden the things that meant something to you were taken. So there's got to be a lot of depression. Some of my clients, as a life coach that I deal with, they're very affected by this time, and some marriages have fallen apart.
Okay, so this next one, I actually want to read a passage from the book that really called to me. I literally stopped in my tracks and said, wow, I have to mark this in the book. And it happened a few times. I want you to know in this book it happened a few times, but this one was the one that mostly stuck out. And it says here, right here. Whoa, I feel heat. Wow. Okay. Something just incredible happened between us. Like a super crazy. We were just speaking about something and it just appeared in the book. It's a long story. Wow. Okay. So it says here, as I started to spend more time alone, I learned to just be okay with being used as a vessel, with no titles, strings, or obligations attached, no judgments, no good or bad. I began accepting who I was from my very core, my spirit. I'm trying not to cry because that part was really, really touching to me. I think anyone that has the luxury of getting to that point in your life or in your story or in your existence, then just know that you are already like almost at the climax. Because I feel like once you get there, you're on the right path, and it's gonna be very hard to go back. So here's the question. How was that revelation for you? Was it shocking? Was it like, wow, you know, what's happening to me? I can't believe this is happening. Were you sort of super aware of it and knew, like, I knew this was coming. I knew that this is where I was, you know, going, or this was the path that I was on. Did you know before it happened that it was happening, or did it kind of come later on when you realized that you had this like this growth, this moment of getting to that point?
Well,
of not needing to have a title, of not, you know, good or bad, like, you know, just be.
Yeah, I think for me it was the actions behind that moment, you know, of the journey of losing everything, you know, from being a powerful businesswoman with 2 stores, had a home, beautiful car, you know. I worked hard to create that world for myself, and when it started to crumble, I just had to hold on to God, right? Because I knew there was transformation.
So it's when, almost to say like it's when you lost, that's when you gained.
Yeah,
kind of.
Yeah. And I think that even as parents, we should allow our children to see our pain when we have pain, our struggles when we have struggles, so that when they have them, it won't be a big deal. Like, oh yeah, I've been through this. Mom's been through it. I can get through this.
Oh, that is so great advice.
Important, because if we're protecting our children and giving them the best world, if you want an iPad, you want a phone, what do you want? You got it. They get it. And you don't have to work for it or anything else. Everything's beautiful.
Yeah.
Everything's beautiful. I have a great mom, a great dad, and then they get married and challenges come. Children are born a certain way and they have to be strong for, and they don't know where to get that strength from. Where am I going to get that strength from, right? So that's where a lot of us have post-traumatic disorder. Some of us have depression.
And I'm not
putting
even aware of
labels
it.
on them, right? Now we're being labeled,
Yeah.
but the reality is a lot of us just are going through some really hard times, and we have to learn that we're not here for ourselves. We're not here for ourselves. We're here for God. Every one of us have a purpose. We have a purpose, a calling. And even though you think that life should go this way, sometimes God will slap you on the pottery table, just turn you from inside out and build you back up to be that vessel that He needs for you to do something else, right? And so I think that's when I started to realize, like, all my labels that I placed on myself. And I also did some seminars in Chicago. One was called Landmark, and that they taught me that you put labels on yourself, so you try to live up to those labels. And that in itself is hard to do. When life comes and just knocks you on your feet, and now you're like, oh my God, who am I? Homeless in the mind. That's who you are. You're starting over. Rewind.
And that's okay.
Yeah, that's what divorce looks like. What am I going to do? My husband paid all the bills. He took care of everything. What am I going to do? Well, guess what? It's time to come from nothing, because now you're going to be rebuilt into a whole new being. And so I think that was a revelation for me. Like, wow, I don't need to do all this. I need to find out the spirit inside of myself. I need to find
So
out.
it was sort of a process for you. I feel like in your situation, maybe you were a little more aware of it as it was happening.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, I don't think it was the same. I think
No.
for me, it was more of the snack. It was more of I was yanked out of a comfort zone, like what you were saying.
Yes.
And it just happened all of a sudden. And I was
Yeah.
like, whoa, okay.
Yeah. And a lot of people are reaching out to me that have read the book, that have lost their parents, and have discussed with me, you know, the connections they've had with their parents. And I think that that's one thing we're not ready for, is like sometimes when one of our parents passed, we are affected a certain way, almost like that umbilical cord is cut in that moment that it happens, and you feel it in your spirit. Some of us will go through a nasty depression, or like something happens to us, and why? Just because
And it's
my
natural.
parent died.
I think it's important to understand that it's not necessarily about all the years that you built together. It's just a natural occurrence.
you know, and
Ooh, that's kind of lead actually to my next question.
Wonderful.
What you're saying. I think we should just get into it now, because
Right.
it's kind of leading into that. My last thing that I wanted to leave on, we did 7. 7 for me is a good number. I like that number. Legacy. I think, and I wrote something here, as you guys can see, but I'm gonna kind of just talk, because this one I wanted to go a little bit more off of what I'm feeling in the moment. You just said before about title, and I have it written here that we attach image or titles to people.
Yeah.
Look, and we didn't talk about this prior. I just happen to have that because this is what we do.
I love the way
This is what
flow.
I know. This is what we do. We almost need that. We need everything to kind of have like a title or an image, or we need everything to just be something specific in order for us to understand it or relate to it, or even just because of technology nowadays. People often say to me on YouTube, "Oh, what's your thing?" And I'm like, I don't know. Life is my thing. I don't just have one specific thing here. But people need that. They need to see that, like one simple thing to focus on, and they don't realize that there's so much more, right? And of course, yes, people do have a thing. Maybe somebody makes furniture, maybe somebody's a teacher or whatever, yes. But as far as legacy, as far as being a daughter, being a mother, and all of that journey that you carry within you, all of those feelings and all of those moments, what do you feel? Not that if you have to choose and force something, but if you have to fall in a bracket of Teresa is known for this, or she was about this, or if when people hear your name and they remember your book and the new ones to come, what would be your legacy? What would you say you have contributed consciously or mindfully, that you want people to know this, or you want people to think this about you, if nothing else?
That I am a stand for humanity. That I stand for that. And I'm clear that I'm here on this earth to be a blessing to others. I think that my parents taught me that, and I taught my children that, and my grandchildren are now being that in LA. They can't walk past a homeless person without stopping and giving them a quarter, you know? And it's not about the quarter, it's about the connection. Sometimes people just need a smile, just a connection.
Yes.
They need to feel connected. They don't need your money. They need you, your energy. So I think that that's really important in my life, because my parents were that. They were that. So I became that. And my children are now that. So that to me is number one. And then number 2 is stand for love. You will always find your loved ones will let you down. And you will let others down too. We all fall short of each other's glory. But giving ourselves grace and taking a stand for love no matter what, especially families. My sister did this, my brother did that. Yeah, and I did something too, right?
Yeah.
We all contribute to that mud pie. But if we all just take a stand for love and for family and for God, number 1, right? Tapping into the spirit within and without labels, right? I'm not Christian, Catholic, I'm not Buddha. God bless us all, right?
Yes,
We're
thank
all
you.
a messenger on this earth.
Thank you.
We're all here because of the divine energy of God who put us here. So I think that's my legacy. I think that the beauty that you possess is inside. It's not outside. If you get it outside, good for you. Take it home. Sometimes that could be a curse though, because many people will.
Yes.
Right?
You know
But
what you're saying is very true, because oftentimes, sometimes I feel like maybe my message is not being taken seriously, because maybe somebody is just looking at the outside beauty and they don't see that there's something inside, you know. Or on the flip side of that, maybe somebody's criticizing me for my outside beauty and they think, she just, you know, wants to look good on camera or something like that. You know, and people lose focus.
Yeah.
They lose focus.
yeah. And it's their own insecurity that's coming up for them, so they can't even hear you.
Yeah,
They really
exactly.
can't relate to you. And trust me, my best friends, some of my greatest friends came from those moments of my own insecurity. I used to go up to them and like, hi, my name is, girl, you're gorgeous. What's your name? You know, like, you're making me feel uncomfortable, right? I always like to address my insecurities. I just do. I think that that's the best way to just live, you know?
For me, it's like, hey, I'm not as well put together as a mom as you think I am.
Exactly.
And I have to be honest about that, because I think deep inside it's because I'm looking for guidance maybe, and I want somebody to come and say, and it's happened like what you said with your girlfriends. I found a very good friend who not only does she have a special needs boy and moved to Puerto Rico, but her son's name is JJ, and that's my son's name to me. It was company to have. Maybe in the past I would have been jealous of that. Maybe I would have been like, come on, man. Like, how come she can always have it, you know, remain so cool and level, and I'm constantly screaming here? Like, why can't I be like her?
Right.
But I let go of that, and I was like, all right, you are amazing, and I need to learn how to be like you.
Yeah.
Teach me.
You know, and the thing about it is, that's where we'll go back to energy, right? I'll put on my life coaching hat. When our energy, which is our yin and yang, or our feminine masculine energy, is off balance, you'll feel it. Getting that balance back is important. If it's meditation, you know, just breathing into your belly, even if it's just
For me,
5
100%,
minutes, you know?
because it was my biggest struggle. I literally didn't know what meditation was, how to do it. I was so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And now it is the only thing that makes sense to me.
Shift that energy, and you can find the answers within. You know, how many of us, like something happens to us, we call 5 people, girl, you're not gonna live, what do you think about, and then 2 hours have passed and we've told the same story to 5 people. It's like, take the labels off.
Yes.
And just leave freely, homeless mind.
What I had already written on my cards to speak to Teresa about came out during talks without me even getting to that question yet. It's almost as if every question led into the next one without planning it that way. It was very, very interesting. This was super written. It was like written in the stars. This was meant to happen for sure. The meeting each other, the even just being in the same area physically, even just that.
Being here in Puerto Rico.
Yes, that was amazing. There are no coincidences, as I always say. These things happen for purpose, for reason, for even just to share, like be generous and share these good things, because somebody, it doesn't matter if you're reaching 100 people, just one person that needed to hear it for the day is good enough.
You know, being raised a certain way, Catholic, Christian, Jewish, whatever that is in our households, and how as we get older and we go through our trials in our lives, we become what Spirit tells us. You know, our spirit speaks to us, and we tap into that energy through meditation, reading the Bible, reading a good word that triggers something in you to go deeper. Like, God, why am I hearing this word today? Wow, connect the dots, and you know, it's having a relationship with yourself, right? Having a relationship with the God within. Tapping into that spirit.
Because that's really what it is.
It's all about that at the end of the day.
It's what's inside of you.
Because other than that, when you judge me for being, you know, a certain religion that you're not, and then you judge me for being beautiful and you're not, you know, it's it's just all these judgments. But if we just allow ourselves to accept the fact that we are humanity, we are all in this world together, to be together and to create together. So I think that that's something that is very important for us to learn as human beings and create those relationships in our lives that really mean something. Love yourself. Love yourself. Love yourself.
Oh, that's the most important.
We always look outside for that love, but we have to have it for ourselves first. You know, it just doesn't happen. We have to create it and then shoot it out to others.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you. So we're gonna finish now. It was an honor to be in her presence. We will continue. We are going to elaborate on this. We're going to keep growing with this and building with this. I will let you guys know in the format of a live, because the energy is more raw and we can just go off of the feeling in the moment. So that will be in the works coming soon. I will give you guys enough time to be able to join, to be able to subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet, and just become a part of this family here, a part of this movement of self-love and awareness. That's it. Besitos.
Homeless Mind.
Homelessness. I'm going to link everything below. Everything will be linked down below, all the information.
Yes.
Besitos, thank you so much for watching and have a good day.